A historic drought years in the making, barren mountains to parched lakes. Is this the new normal for California?
The State of the Drought, presented by General Air Conditioning and Plumbing, and brought to you in part by CV Water Counts and Back 9 Greens. I'm
KMIR Chief Meteorologist Ginger Jeffries, along with Sumata Smith and Brian Gallo. Thank you for joining me and the entire KMIR weather team for our special report, State of the Drought.
Now, no doubt you've heard we're in the middle of a historic drought in California, but tonight we're going to clear up some of the confusion about the drought, El Nino, and identify what one leading climate expert says is the real cause of the drought.
This won't be your garden variety drought special. Tonight we're breaking new ground on the cause of the drought, if there's a solution, and how life in California will be changed from here on out.
Our special report begins at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
See here, Ginger, this is what all the excitement is about. This is the great Godzilla El Nino of 1997, this very warm, high sea level wrapping itself around the equator. And this is where we sit today.
Dr. William Patzert is the foremost authority on climate in California. In fact, he's been dubbed the prophet of California based on his impressive forecast track record. And now he's got everyone talking about what's going to happen this winter.
This one actually was larger earlier.
From his satellites at NASA, Patzert has been tracking the formation of this year's El Nino. They measure the height of the sea surface, which is a measure of how much heat is stored in the ocean. So red and white means higher or warmer. Blue and purple means it's sitting lower or cooler. What you're looking at is warm water that's been stored in the Western Pacific. It's now moving toward the Americas, bringing with it the chance for major rain this winter. The last time we saw an El Nino like this was in 1997 and 98, which turned into the most punishing El Nino on record.
He was billed as a bad boy. Mudslides, floods, general havoc.
But now in the day and age of the drought, there's a very different sentiment toward El Nino.
So for the first time, we're actually talking about El Nino as the great white hope, as the drought buster. And so it's a little different this time.
Another stark contrast to then and now. In 97 and 98, we were not in the state of a drought. But now, California is dealing with the worst drought in recorded history. So will this welcomed El Nino be the answer to our water woes? Is El Nino going to solve the drought?
I don't know.
I don't know. I hope so, but they say it won't on the news.
Let's be hopeful. You know, I moved here in 1998, and that's when we had the last El Nino, and I was bringing stuff over from LA and packing it in my shed, and when I came to get it out, it had all been flooded and rotted because my floor wasn't that good. So I'm just hoping. What we really need is a snowpack, not a lot of rain. Rain would be fine, but we just need to have that snowpack.
Do you think El Nino is going to solve the drought problem for California?
I don't think so. I hope so.
We need a lot of rain. El Nino might happen?
Yeah, hopefully.
Is El Nino going to happen?
I'm not sure. I haven't really been keeping up with the whole news behind it.
I don't worry about things like that. I believe that there's always balance on the Earth and in the universe, and the planets don't collide, and the sun comes up every day, and sometimes we have a fire, but then new growth comes after the fire. So I don't think about these things. It all balances out.
El Nino's coming. Is it going to eliminate the drought?
Hopefully it does.
Lots of rain. You ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
According to all of the pieces that I've read, we're simply not going to have enough. Even if El Nino is extremely strong, it won't solve our problem because this is a multi-year problem, and in fact it's likely to continue for maybe our lifetimes.
And before we put that water in the bank, remember, El Nino is a winter weather rain impact. Our biggest rain usually comes in January or February. In addition, the months ahead include our Santa Ana season, sparking the worst fire season in California history as well. So, do the experts believe El Nino will wash this all away?
Don't cash in your 401k and invest in umbrellas yet.
During our monster El Nino in '97, the Southland saw 17 inches of rain in 1 month. However, half of that rainfall got redirected into the ocean. In the end, we only got 7% of our water needs met that winter, thanks to the snowpack, not the rain.
And it comes like a fire hose. So you're standing there with the champagne glass with somebody aiming a fire hose trying to capture water.
But there's another issue with El Nino. It's not a sure thing, and it's got some competition. There's a very shallow area of warm water in the Gulf of Alaska that has basically blocked California from getting drenched in the winter. This body of water has been dubbed the Blob. And in the case of a comic book clash, our winter may be decided by the battle of a Godzilla El Nino versus the water blob.
At this point, I think that the El Nino is such a large signal, it will dominate the blob, which is a pretty shallow, superficial feature. If this very promising event tends to fizzle and not deliver rainfall and snowpack, then you and I, Ginger, will have to go into the witness protection program.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. And while there is a lot of attention on El Nino, Sierra snowpack is the real key for water in California. Snowpack right now is 0. We need more than one El Nino to replenish our snowpack in order to keep the aquifers supplied throughout the year. Not all people are looking to El Nino for a life raft. In fact, there's plenty of water for the Coachella Valley, at least for our farming needs. The reason we have plenty of water is thanks to a group of growers who more than 100 years ago built the Coachella Canal. And from that water source, the desert was born.
It's the lifeblood for us today.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, that water, which first arrived right before 1950, so we've had it from 1950 until now, that is the key to this valley.
The Coachella Canal is a 122-mile aqueduct that literally feeds Colorado water to the East Valley. This water, in turn, nourishes our desert's billion-dollar ag industry.
One of the largest economic drivers in the entire Coachella Valley. We're actually pumping over $1 billion a year into the local economy through agriculture.
John Powell from Peter Rabbit Farms tells me in 1908, the pioneers of farming for the valley realized they could put a well in and farm with it. But that well water runs out quickly. After all, this is a desert, and technically speaking, we're always in a drought. So instead, the farmers engineered a way to solve the water problem without overdrafting the aquifer. It's called the Coachella Canal.
This is a great place to farm. You have good soil, you have plenty of sunshine, everything a plant needs, and there's actually quite a bit of water in the aquifer, but we want to be sustainable. So they realized a long time ago the best way to be sustainable was to bring in a water supply from the Colorado River.
Farmers in most of the state rely on the California water system. And as you've heard, the state's water levels are at historic lows due to years of below normal snowpack in the Sierras. This has been catastrophic for growers in central and northern California. But valley farmers have not felt the pinch, all because of the Coachella Canal.
Have not had to turn to groundwater to keep farming. And that's something that's happened a lot in other parts of California.
And that really goes to the fact that a lot of the agricultural people in the Coachella Valley are great stewards of the water.
These great stewards of water not only conserve what they have, but they're actually adding much needed water to help the salinity levels at the Salton Sea. While most of our water comes from wells, farmers in the East Valley are tapping into a different source. Coming up next, I'll give you a look at the engineering marvel that keeps the water flowing on our farms. And are we approaching our golden years? When it comes to lawns here in the valley, lush green lawns could become a thing of the past. But is this alternative any better?
The State of the Drought is presented by General Air Conditioning and Plumbing.
Attention, General Crew. Training starts now. Who can tell me what's wrong with this picture? Tom.
That air conditioner shouldn't have a screwdriver in it.
Anything else? Sean.
They didn't call the General.
Don't let a bad installation like this happen to you. Call the General.
Hey, there goes the General again. Here, there, everywhere.
General Air Conditioning and Heating. The Palm Springs mayoral race. All eyes are on City Hall. Who will lead the city forward? KMIR News is bringing you the Candidates Forum.
I'm Gino Lamont, alongside KMIR News political analyst Hank Plant. And Hank, this is going to be a big night.
It is, Gino, and so we've got a big political forum sponsored by the Organized Neighborhoods of Palm Springs and the Palm Springs Chamber of Commerce.
Live on Wednesday, October 14th, beginning at 6 p.m. See the candidates in their own words.
California is in a drought. Water levels are at their lowest in history. Be part of the solution with Back 9 Greens artificial lawns and putting greens. No mowing, no watering, no comparison. Everyone from pet owners to professional athletes use Back 9 Greens. Back 9 Greens is a name you can trust since 1997. We install it right the first time. Call today and we'll show you how you can have a beautiful yard with no watering. Choose the water-wise solution. When in drought, turf out. Call Back 9 Greens today.
The State of the Drought is brought to you in part by Back 9 Greens.
Despite the drought days across California, we have an engineering marvel here in the desert, keeping water flowing to our farms. And it all happens without the use of electricity.
The Coachella Canal, built 66 years ago, has been called the lifeblood of the Coachella Valley. You see, our growers in the East Valley have not lost production or tapped into our groundwater, all because of water from the Colorado River brought here by the Coachella Canal. Part of the genius to the canal, it works on a gravity flow system. Take a look. Engineers designed the canal to use elevation and the Earth's natural gravity to move water into the Coachella Valley. From there, growers distribute water to their fields by use of a drip system, minimizing waste and maximizing growth.
For instance, the date trees behind us, those are irrigated by drip irrigation. So we make sure we can put the water when we need it, where we need it, in the quantity that we need it, so that we're not wasting it. That allows us to get through droughts much better. We've never had a shortage of Colorado River water, and that's partly because we're managing it right.
Roguing is another way farmers and the workers are conserving water. This keeps their crops' integrity high and unutilized water low. But conservation efforts don't stop there. If any water makes it through the soil, underground tiles direct it to an area in dire need of fresh flow.
About every 4 feet, we've got a clay pipe that runs through the majority of these fields, and all the water that leaches down into the ground eventually ends up out in the Salton Sea.
Experts say adding water to the Salton Sea will help stabilize salt levels and reinforce the shoreline. Clearly, there's not enough water running off of these farms to fix the sea alone, but every drop matters during this historic drought.
Now, you may not realize it, but some businesses that depend on water have taken extraordinary efforts to cut down on water use. You probably expect car washes to be big water wasters, but when we visited the airport car wash in Palm Springs, we discovered something much different. The car wash actually has an elaborate water reclamation system. As each car is washed, the excess water flows into tanks underground. The water is then filtered and goes back into the system to wash other cars. With this system, the car wash uses just 10 to 15 gallons of new water per car. The other 130 gallons comes from the recycled water. Since the system was installed 15 years ago, it has saved 252 million gallons of water. Ginger.
Thanks, Sumata. Many people are converting from lush lawns to desert landscaping. Just ahead, a look at some alternatives to grass, and we'll explain why using less water could mean spending more on your electric bill.
The State of the Drought is presented by General Air Conditioning and Plumbing.
Hey, there goes the General! To the rescue!
Is your air conditioner in distress? Have no fear, the General is here. For only $79, guarantee your comfort and beat the heat this summer with a Super General air conditioning tune-up.
Look, there he is again. Go, General, go.
From Palm Springs to Indio, he's all over the Coachella Valley. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's the General, keeping you super cool.
Call the General. Call the General.
KMIR.com. Created by a staff of journalists working together to provide information that's important to you. Tap into expanded coverage of news, weather, health, and entertainment. You Ask, we investigate. Exclusive reports. Eyesore Next Door, Valley Pet Finder. Continually updated with the latest details. Never miss a major story in our effort to make the Coachella Valley a better place to live. Make our website your website. Click in, log on, KMIR.com.
California is facing the most severe drought on record.
Here in the Coachella Valley, customers have done a great job reducing water use.
But we still have work to do to meet the governor's conservation requirements.
Local water agencies are working together to help the community make lasting changes to save water inside and out.
Check with your agency today to learn more about conservation rebates and tools to help you save.
Visit www.cdwatercounts.com to learn more.
And remember, CD Water counts.
The State of the Drought is brought to you in part by CV Water Counts.
A fact of drought life, we all have to reduce our overall water use. One way homeowners are managing the cut is to take out their lawns. But not everyone believes this is a water-wise option.
It's called nature's air conditioning, grass, but it requires California's precious commodity, water. Some are sacrificing one for the other, and the folks at West Coast Turf believe this may be a case of jumping the gun.
If they just would water wisely and water smartly, follow guidelines, you can save 30–40% of water.
Experts say 8 lawns can produce 70 tons of air conditioning. To better understand this, one AC unit puts out about 4 tons of air conditioning. So without grass around the house, homeowners are finding electric bills on the rise. You can see this thermal gun registers ground cover at about 148 degrees, but the grass registers around 105 degrees.
So in the long run, when you're putting in this artificial turf, which can be up to 80 degrees hotter than natural turf on an 81-degree day, it's kind of crazy to take that natural turf out and replace it with something that you think is green, but it's not really environmentally responsible.
For people not ready to rip out their lawn but still want that green look, some are turning to turf colorant. And yes, it's as simple as it looks. You're basically painting the ground with an organic-based pigment that's going to last about 4 to 5 months. Now, it still requires some water, about 2 times per week, just to keep the dust down. And Jimmy Greenshoe says it's pet-friendly and not all that bad to look at.
It's the best looking green paint we've seen on the market. That's why we're getting it all the way from Florida. There's 0 blue tone to the product, which makes it superior to most of the products on the market.
Another alternative is subsurface irrigation. It's been around a long time, but few people use this form of watering. The way it works, 6 to 10 inches below the ground, you have a drip line and emitter watering the plant directly at the root with no evaporation or runoff, something that experts say is a major problem with traditional spray heads.
A lot of that gets evaporated, a lot of it gets blown away if there's wind, and a lot of it is just not installed correctly, and it usually gets in the sidewalk anyway.
If you go on the Coachella Valley Water District website, you will see other rebate offers. They include free weather-based irrigation clocks that automatically adjust your irrigation system's runtime based on weather data. Installation for the smart system is also free. Again, you have to go on their website to check on availability based on your city.
One place you will continue to see lots of green grass is in our golf courses. There are more than 100 golf courses spread across the Coachella Valley. But instead of using drinking water, most are tapping into other sources. According to the Coachella Valley Water District, roughly half of those golf courses are using non-potable water. This means they are using water brought through canals from the Colorado River. Others are using reclaimed water. That's wastewater that gets filtered and treated, so it is clean enough to water grass, but not to drink. The rest typically comes from private wells. And believe it or not, some golf courses are starting to tear out sections of grass while continuing to maintain the greens and the fairways. Turf is being removed from other areas around the courses. The Palm Desert Country Club is one example. Greenskeepers there plan to remove 30 acres of turf within the next 2 years. Ginger?
Thanks, Brian. You may be wasting water in your home and not even realize it. Coming up next, why fixing small leaks can make a big difference.
The State of the Drought is brought to you in part by Back 9 Greens.
California is in a drought. Water levels are at their lowest in history. Be part of the solution with Back 9 Greens artificial lawns and putting greens. No mowing, no watering, no comparison. Everyone from pet owners to professional athletes use Back 9 Greens. Back 9 Greens is the name you can trust since 1997. We install it right the first time. Call today and we'll show you how you can have a beautiful yard with no watering. Choose the water-wise solution. When in drought, turf out. Call Back 9 Greens today.
Saturday, October 24th is National Make a Difference Day. Come take part in the 30th Annual Palm Springs Aerial Tram Road Challenge, a 6K run walk. Proceeds benefit the United Way of the Desert. After the race, enjoy a hot breakfast at the awards ceremony and health fair on the grounds of Desert Regional Medical Center. To register, visit the Desert Sun online. Watch the race live on KMIR TV. Sponsored by CV Water Counts, Lamar Advertising, the Desert Sun, and Mix 100.5.
Attention, General Crew. Training starts now. Who can tell me what's wrong with this picture? Tom.
That air conditioner shouldn't have a screwdriver in it.
Anything else? Sean.
They didn't call the General.
Don't let a bad installation like this happen to you. Call the General.
Hey, there goes the General again. Here, there, everywhere.
General Air Conditioning and Heating.
The State of the Drought is presented by General Air Conditioning and Plumbing.
The drought has already started to change the way we use water, but it's also changed the way we think about wasting water. Being efficient in and around your home is key to keeping money and water in the bank.
Let's take something that we probably just take for granted and we see happening all the time, a slow drip, whether it's from the shower, whether it's from a sink or a hose bib outside. That slow drip, there's about 15,000 drips in a gallon of water. So that's about 5 gallons to 20 gallons a day. That's over 2,000 gallons a year just from that little drip.
Patrick Summers from General Heating, Air Conditioning, and now Plumbing says one of the chief water wasters in your home can be as simple as a leaky faucet. It's an easy fix that can save you water and money. But other leaks are a bit more sneaky. Toilets use a lot of water in the home, and to make sure you're not flushing dollars down the drain, try this simple food coloring test. Just like you see here, drop some dye in the back and
if you have a leak, you'll see it show up. If you don't, it won't. It all depends on what kind of leak you have or don't have.
Hot water can be a hot button issue in the house, especially if your water heater is far from your bathroom. Waiting for the water to warm up can turn into a pricey shower. One option is to switch to a tankless hot water heater or a smart pump.
This is one that's kind of a smart recirc pump. It learns the behavior of the family, and it keeps water circulating, warm water, hot water, through the house. So you have instant hot water. So it's comfort, but it's also savings because you're not running the water.
And what happens if you're away from the house, despite all your water-wise efforts, and a pipe bursts? You're going to be on the hook for that loss, unless you have one of these. It's called a flood breaker. It even tracks your general usage.
So even that slow drip that could be dripping for several months at a time, it'll say, hey, this isn't supposed to be happening, shut it down. It'll pick up hose bursts, things like that. Your washing machine busts and water's flowing at a rate that shouldn't be. It'll pick it up, shut the water down.
That's genius.
It's a great product.
Even if we weren't in a drought, trying to satisfy our thirst for water is no easy task. Just ahead, hear why we will need to make some serious changes and keep conserving water, even if we get out of this historic drought.
The State of the Drought is brought to you in part by CV Water Counts.
California is facing the most severe drought on record.
Here in the Coachella Valley, customers have done a great job reducing water use.
But we still have work to do to meet the governor's conservation requirements.
Local water agencies are working together to help the community make lasting changes to save water inside and out.
Check with your agency today to learn more about conservation rebates and tools to help you save.
Visit www.cvwatercounts.com to learn more.
And remember, CV Water Counts.
The Palm Springs mayoral race. All eyes are on City Hall. Who will lead the city forward? KMIR News is bringing you the Candidates Forum.
I'm Gino Lamont, alongside KMIR News political analyst Hank Plant. And Hank, this is going to be a big night.
It is, Gino, and so we've got a big political forum sponsored by the Organized Neighborhoods of Palm Springs and the Palm Springs Chamber of Commerce.
live on Wednesday, October 14th, beginning at 6 p.m. See the candidates in their own words.
Hey, there goes the general. To the rescue.
Is your air conditioner in distress? Have no fear. The General is here. For only $79, guarantee your comfort and beat the heat this summer with a Super General air conditioning tune-up.
Look, there he is again. Go, General, go.
From Palm Springs to Indio, he's all over the Coachella Valley. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's the General, keeping you super cool.
Call the General. Call the General.
The State of the Drought is presented by General Air Conditioning and Plumbing.
Our State of the Drought didn't happen in 1 year. And one expert says it didn't result just from a series of dry winters. The real reason behind the drought is a population explosion in the West and a water lifestyle not ready to handle it.
Climate expert Bill Patzert says growth in California is the major contributor to our state of the drought. Civilization in California took off in the 20th century. That was also one of the wettest periods of the past 2,000 years. This is a fact we know from examining tree rings. So Dr. Patzert says we built a civilization based on imported water in a wet century. And that, frankly, is not sustainable.
We've developed some bad water habits.
Average rainfall in Southern California is 15 inches per year. That supplies water for about 5 million people. To date, we have roughly 20 million people from San Diego to Santa Barbara.
Tremendous growth that we've experienced in population, all the new industries that have developed, and the change in the structure and the growth in agriculture has essentially brought us to a new reality.
Even though we have tremendous water capabilities in California, most believe we need to develop a new water lifestyle that balances our demand with our supply. Essentially, we need a new water paradigm or simply a new water lifestyle in California.
You know, this is California. We can definitely do it. This is the venture capital, idea capital, not only of the United States, in the world. And so in many ways, this is an opportunity. We can become the water efficiency leaders of the entire world.
So the key to ending the drought won't be one storm or one solution.
It will be a combined effort involving the farming community, businesses, cities, state government, and you at home.
The most important thing we're learning from the historic drought is that our current way of thinking about water needs to change to better fit into California's water reality.
Thanks for joining us for the State of the Drought on behalf of Sumata Smith and Brian Gallo and myself. Thank you for joining us.